Welcome to a 3 for 3 podcast. Paul Teach Nelson, joined by Alex the Podfather Gullet. Again, here at 3 for 3, we are looking at the hottest trending topics in sports to agree, disagree, and see if finally, with you guys at home, we can come to a consensus and be 3 for 3. Now, a lot of fun stuff in sports has been happening lately. Okay, we're going to start off the show with a 3 and out. We have 3 quick topics we need to go ahead and debate. These aren't things we would normally talk about, but they are too juicy, too good not to give our opinion on.
And I love this. I love the 3 and out. It's quick. It's rapid.
It is. It's like every Bills opening series that I've seen for the early 2000s. It's 3 and out. We're just going to punt. Okay.
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see how long McDermott lasts in Buffalo after we get done in my playoffs. So
we'll see. We do have the Podfather predictions coming up. He already predicted division winners. He predicted all your scores. You can go to DraftKings and take his bets for certain. So today he is predicting the entire playoffs. That's right. You heard it. You're going to hear the Super Bowl champion tonight. That's quite a task. And also we have some college football we're going to discuss. So quick with the 3 and out. The biggest story, the biggest disappointment, the U.S. women's national team getting knocked out. That's right. Horrible finish. I want to quote Carli Lloyd. All right. Carli Lloyd said, "This is a whole rebuild." Ooh. She trashed the U.S. women's national team for celebrating a tie against Portugal, for dancing on the sideline, doing their TikToks. I got a question. Are we 3 for 3 with Carli? Is this a whole rebuild? What are your thoughts, Podfather?
I agree wholeheartedly with Carli. Going back, watching the highlights, I watched some of the games. Look, you tie with Portugal in the opening. Like I'm going, oh my gosh, man, women, you are the heavy favorites. Like it shouldn't even be close. And you're taking selfies. You got your selfie sticks out. You're making TikToks and Instagram videos. This is about soccer. You're the best in the world. Play soccer.
Listen, I'm with Carli too. We've heard a ton over the last 8 years regarding pay inequity. You know how you achieve inequity or equity? Domination. That's how you achieve it. Sustained excellence allows you to go ahead forward and say, hey, we can go ahead and continue to demand top dollar because we deserve it, because we're dominating. Now,
I agree.
I'm not saying that there isn't inequity. I think there is. But this is not going to help that fight anymore.
Now, I don't want to argue for inequity because I don't want to be on either side of that argument, right? But I do want to say this. Had that been the men's U.S. soccer team in the Men's World Cup, and they would have ended the game with a tie in Portugal or lost to Sweden the way that they lost, and had said some of the things they said about somebody like Landon Donovan or somebody who came out and would have said the same thing, they would have been getting torched by everybody. And so it's part of equity is owning up to who you are. You want to get paid the big dollars? Hey, take it like a woman. Take it like a woman. You know what I mean?
Listen, it's definitely time for a rebuild. Carli Lloyd's right. Superstar Carli Lloyd is right. Megan Rapinoe's gone. Alex Morgan, your time's up. It's time for fresh young blood. Go ahead and rally behind the flag. Try and get some of these absolute stud soccer players out there. What I found most interesting was the biggest thing in soccer might not have been that. It was Lionel Messi's goals, right? Like he's scoring goals in Miami in regular games and getting more press than the women's national team, and that's why. Your final thoughts, Podfather?
Yeah, final thoughts. I'm glad we're 3 for 3 on this. I don't think it takes much to discuss. Women's national team, do better. We expect more.
We are 3 for 3. Now, let's see the next one I want to talk about, going from the soccer pitch to pitching them fists, pitching them hands a little bit, right? MLB base brawl. Everybody loves a good base brawl. Listen, we saw the fight between I can't even call it a fight. We saw Tim Anderson get knocked on his butt by Jose Ramirez. Again, Tim Anderson got knocked down and he still got suspended 6 games, whereas Jose Ramirez gave him the fisticuffs, got 3 games. So I just want to go ahead. This is what Jose Ramirez said. I think he, meaning Tim Anderson, has been disrespecting the game for a while, Ramirez told reporters when speaking about Anderson. Are we 3 for 3 with Jose? What do you think, Podfather?
First of all, shame on you, Tim Anderson, for getting knocked out with a slap punch to the side of the face. Not the best right hook in baseball. We can say that about Ramirez, right? Uh, but hey, listen, there's always going to be those players who people think are a little dirty, but I think there's room for that in sports. Uh, hey, should it constitute a brawl? Tim Anderson's the one that shook the gloves off and put the fist up. You know what I mean? Ramirez did point finger, put the finger in the face, but I'm 3 for 3. I think he's probably a little dirty, but not to the extent where he should have went that far.
I'm with Jose. I'm with Jose. Listen, high hard tags, they aren't illegal. They're not fun. Somebody who has played baseball his whole life, who still coaches baseball at middle school level, have coached JV and varsity. Listen, when you get hit in the face with a baseball in the glove, it's not fun. Okay. And the first thing you want to do is what Jose did. I want to jump up and let's go ahead. But that's not only it. Listen, the game before, Tim Anderson has shenanigans, shoving guys off bags, giving them a little bit of hip check. And like you said, listen, you drop the gloves and put up your fist, you might just catch the ones and twos. And Jose Ramirez, yeah, it was a slap punch, but it was doggone hard enough. He was just waylaying, looking down and throwing up, baby.
Hey, Tim Anderson, don't let the rest of the league find out you got a glass jaw. That's all I'm saying. Don't let the rest of the league find out you got a glass jaw.
So we are definitely 3 for 3 with Jose. So far, it's a good start on the 3 for 3 podcast. Let us know if you agree with us or if you're wrong.
And he would beat me, right? So whatever.
Oh, yeah. Tim Anderson?
Yeah, okay. For sure. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know that he would. I don't know. Listen, like I said, I've said it before. We've talked about this. The dudes who are always looking for smoke and want to chat it up, those are the dudes that end up getting knocked out. That just Tim Anderson shows, right? Yeah. Speaking of knockouts, listen, let's talk a little celebrity knockouts. Jake Paul. Okay. Jake Paul wins again. I wouldn't call it in dominating fashion, and neither did Conor McGregor. Okay. MMA great, Irish whiskey great, Conor McGregor had the following to say: it's entertaining trash. And then he goes on Twitter to call out Diaz, talks about the nature of the boxing match, calls it abysmal. It's embarrassing stuff all around. Listen, are you 3 for 3? Do you agree with Conor?
I do agree with Conor. And I think even after that fight, now, of course, Jake came off the loss from Tommy Fury. Then he finally got Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is 38 years old, been an MMA fighter forever. You want to prove something, get in the cage with one of those guys. And they may make it happen. The bigger story is that Logan Paul, I think, is kind of tired of his brother's stuff. Can't wait to see that at WrestleMania. Oh, wait, no, that's not a wrestling. They're boxing, right? I don't know what I'm watching with these guys anymore. But, yeah, I agree with Conor.
I agree with Conor, too, with the boxing element. It was just foolish. Listen, Nate Diaz, anybody who has watched UFC, MMA, Nate Diaz is not known for his punching power, okay? He is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He is the king of submissions. He will get you in any kind of choke that he wants. It's impossible to make him tap out. And like you said, he's 38. He's 38. That was just nonsense.
Yeah, and I think anybody that watches MMA have seen it. Like, he's so unorthodox in the way that he fights and the way that he swings. It takes a while to come around. Anybody knew. I don't know that Nate Diaz at 25 could have beat Jake Paul in a boxing match just because of how unorthodox he is. He's an MMA fighter. I'd love to see Jake Paul take that chance.
Now, they said, yeah, hey, $10 million, right? $10 million before the split for pay-per-view. I'm in. Let's go ahead and do it. You gave me a shot. Let me give you a shot. That being said, let me catch you off guard because you like the fight game. Who would you want to see Jake Paul fight next?
In the boxing ring?
Anywhere. Would you want to see Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul? Would you want to see Logan versus Jake Paul? KSI, again, a Tommy Fury rematch?
I would love, I think the Tommy Fury rematch would be great. Conor McGregor's probably the biggest draw at this point. He's not going to fight his brother. We all know that. Maybe in WWE, but definitely not in MMA or in boxing. Maybe, I don't know, if they don't let him bring his drink into the stadium, he might fight him. I don't know what's going on. But I think, no, I'd like to see him fight a real fighter, man. Somebody who knows the game and fight outside of his comfort zone. All these guys from the MMA have been going to the boxing ring. That's not their comfort zone. Learn to be uncomfortable, grow being uncomfortable. That's what we teach all professionals, right? Grow being uncomfortable. I'd like to see it out of Jake Paul.
Yeah, being uncomfortable is a good thing. You want to practice being uncomfortable, right? Nate Diaz took a shot at boxing. His boxing career is probably over. He jumped from MMA to boxing. Let's talk about a different kind of jump. We had some college football teams take some leaps. We saw some teams jump and ship. This is essentially the last year of the Pac-12. Right now we have Power 5 conferences, right? That's fading away.
It's the best time of year. And let me tell you what, from NFL to NCAA, football is wild right now.
It's nuts. Listen, we're about to have a Power 4 starting next year, but this year, we've seen a lot of jumps. Just a couple of the jumps that we've seen, right? Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, USC, joined the Big 12. The Big 12 is losing teams too. Oklahoma and Texas are going to the SEC next year. USC and UCLA are joining Oregon and Washington and going to the Big 10. This is redrawing everything. There's no longer a Power 5. There's going to be a Power 4 next year. I do want to talk about some quotes and see if we're 3 for 3 on those. So far, we're 3 for 3 with everybody. And we have to start with Coach Prime himself, Deion Sanders, right? New flashy coach, Colorado. He said, typical Deion stuff. It's about a bag. Everybody's chasing a bag. Then you get mad at the players when they chase it. How is that? How do the grown-ups get mad at the players when the colleges are chasing it? Do you agree with Deion?
I do agree with Deion. This whole thing with going to a Power 4, it's all monetary driven. It's TV deals. It's playing inside of bigger markets, those type of things. And so what you see is TV networks are going to understand, like, hey, why throw money at Washington State if I can throw it at Washington, or why throw money at Oregon State if I can throw it at Oregon? And you're seeing these schools move into these bigger conferences, and the travel is going to be crazy, but they are chasing money. That's exactly what it is. I agree with Prime.
I hate doing this. I agree with Prime as well. I agree. Listen, everybody's doing it for the money, right? You're one of your favorite quotes is what, Podfather?
It's a business. It is a business.
And college football is a business.
And they used to keep that out of college football to an extent. But once they started with these new things with the portal and kids being able to get paid, they can basically choose and change anytime they want to. Once you bring in the professionalism and monetize college football, that's just what it is. You're not going to create borders around it now. You know what I mean?
Listen, that's why I think I'm in favor of creating a commissioner of college football or a board of governors that looks at everything from player movement to college movement to the colleges themselves to NIL deals. Listen, I'm usually about limited oversight. Let the college do what they want. Let the players do what they want. But right now it's getting so out of hand. I'm really in fear. College football, I love college football more than the NFL. Okay. I know I'm the exception to the rule. When it comes to us, that's a good thing. You're the NFL guy. I'm the college football guy. Okay. And it's sad. It's sad seeing all this stuff because we're losing a lot of things. Now, I also think Deion's kind of setting himself up. I think in 2 years, if he has a good season, or next year or this year, Deion can say, listen, I told y'all I was about that bag. I'm out of here. I'm going to be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. He knows what he's doing. And if you go back to last January, we had the Prime episode. It was like episode 2 or 3 that we ever did. It was me, you, and Coach, right? And so all 3 of us had the Prime episode. I said it, and you guys wanted to be taken back by me, but I said, listen, he is setting himself up for something in the future. He will be a professional coach. He's going to follow the money. It's in his DNA.
We are 3 for 3 with Deion. So far, it's an all 3 for 3 episode. The next person, okay, Washington president, Anna Marie Cauchi, okay, told reporters about the move was not about dollars and cents. So she's going opposite of Neon Deion. She said it's about stability. It's about having a future we can count on and build toward. You 3 for 3 with her?
Cauchi, not to be confused with Fauci. Listen, I'm not sure on this one yet. I feel like stability, there's going to be so many small teams lost in the mix, and that's going to be the problem. So when she's talking about stability, she's talking about it on a very monumental platform,
macro
right?
level.
It's a very macro level.
Yeah, she's talking about the Pac-12. Hey, we don't know how long it's going to be out. Other teams could jump ship. So this is essentially hey, we're going to quit before you fire me.
Right.
Which is, it's stupid.
So I think I lean more toward not agreeing with her fundamental thinking there. You know what I mean?
Listen, I don't agree with her either. So maybe you guys at home jump in the comments, let us know. Maybe we're 3 for 3, me, you, and the people watching. But
Yeah.
listen, I don't think it has anything to do with stability. It has everything to do with dollars and cents. If it's all about stability, all right, President Couchy, let me ask you this: what do you think happens first? Let's see. Washington leaves the Big Ten, or you leave your job as president. My
Yeah.
guess is you're probably going to retire again next year or this year after the move. Get yourself a nice bonus and then walk away. I don't see it at all. So we are 2 for 3. She can stay on Couchy Island. And
Get
then
out of here.
the college football GOAT. In my opinion, I think he's the GOAT. He is the greatest coach of college football of all time, Nick Saban of Alabama. Okay. I get some of you guys are going to come after me with Bear Bryant. I don't want to hear it. All right. Nick Saban is the GOAT. And this is what he said. There's a lot of traditions that we've had for a very long time in college football. And some of those traditions are going to get sort of pushed out of the wayside. It's sad. Do you agree with Nick?
I agree that it's sad. I don't think it's not necessary. Okay, so listen, put it in different perspective, right? I was my mother's son, as you are your mother's son, and they had their own household traditions that you grow up in. Now, when you have your own kids, as we do have our own children, we've created new traditions and have done away with the old tradition. You know why? Because times change, culture changes, new things happen, right? And so I think it's good to have new tradition, but it is sad to watch some of the old tradition go out of the way. Same thing I felt last year when they became the Commanders, the old Cowboys Redskins games. Like I'll say it, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you lost the nostalgia of that when that happened. I kind of feel the same here.
I understand what you're saying. Do you keep some of the same traditions?
I think you can, yeah, for sure. Like you look at the
That's
ACC. If ACC is the next one to crumble, right? Would you?
ACC is not going anywhere.
But if it
Not
were, I'm just hypothetically saying, if it's the next one to crumble, what's the Virginia Tech UVA game? You know what I'm saying? Like they play for the what?
a
The
Commonwealth Cup.
Commonwealth Cup, right? And so, would you still let them play for that? Absolutely. Keep the tradition. It is what it is. Doesn't matter where they're playing at.
One of the best things that they brought back last year, 2 years ago, West Virginia played Virginia Tech for the Black Diamond. They hadn't done so since the Big East. Just some of the better traditions in college football, right? Enter Sandman at Virginia Tech before a game. It's lights out. It's amazing. You have to
It's a
be
good
there
one.
to understand. It's amazing. Ohio State dotting the I. Howard's Rock at Clemson, touching Howard's Rock at Clemson. Iowa, when they after the first quarter, when they waved to the Children's Hospital.
Isn't that
Those
awesome?
are those are the traditions, and I don't think they're going anywhere. But I am going to miss some of the other ones. Washington State, the Apple Cup. I am going to miss that. You're going to have some of these things go by the wayside. You're going to have a team like Stanford say, maybe we go independent. They came out and said they want to be a part of the Power Five. All right, maybe they are, but maybe
Maybe.
they end up like Notre Dame. So I agree
What
with Nick
about when
Saban.
Florida State leaves ACC? They're not happy. They're looking for a way out, right? Contractually, you'd have to have things would have to fall in place, but you see things in motion already. College football is wild right now.
It's everything is leading to the 18 playoff and them finally saying, you know what? We're going to take the two winners, the championship teams from both Power Fours, right? That's 4 teams, and then 4 bids for everybody else. And we're going to see 3 out of those 4 teams are probably going to come from Power 4 teams again. So it looks like we are somewhat with 3 for 3 with Nick Saban. So
Yeah.
like you said, college football is going to be crazy. This is the last year for Power 5. They're all still going for those 4 playoff spots. Now, in the NFL, we don't have that problem because you've already solved it. You've already told everybody who the division winners are, who's going to win the games, who's going to end up in the playoffs. So why don't you peer into that crystal ball now and give everybody free money by telling them who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so let's hit this really quick, and I'm not going to go back through all the division winners and where I had everybody. Listen, for the last 8 weeks, that's what we did. One of the segments on 3 for 3 for the last 8 weeks was breaking down division by division, and so we traveled the AFC, we traveled the NFC, and we have come now to the playoffs. Okay, so peeking into the playoffs, I will give you some seeding really quick. The Bills in the AFC end up with the bye in the playoffs, so you're not going to see them in round 1. But round 1 does look like this. Let's get started. We're going to go through the AFC first. You with me? Let's go
Always.
teach. Let's go teach. All right. So with the first game in the AFC playoff picture, we have the number 2 Bengals. That's right, the number 2 Bengals against the number 7 Ravens. So the Ravens snuck their way into the playoffs at 7. I think the Bengals win this game 31-24, something like that. I think it's a closer game, but I'm happy to say it here because I think he's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Congrats on your contract, Lamar. See you next year. Teach, what do you think about that one?
I'm with you. Unless Joe Burrow ends up completely re-injuring his calf, I think me, you, and the fans at home are going to be 3 for 3 on this. Go Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. So the Bengals are going to advance, but moving on back into the first round, we had the number 3 Chiefs versus the number 6 Broncos. So the Sean Payton thing worked out a little bit. They're back in the playoffs, right? But I like the Chiefs in this one, 34-17. I think it's relatively close, but still enough separation where it's comfortable. Sean Payton helps, but who's pressuring Mahomes on that defense? Who's the best pass rusher on Denver? They got rid of their best pass rusher last year. You got Randy Gregory, who's always in trouble, always hurt. You don't know what's going on there. I love Surtain on the back end, but one cornerback can't cover everybody nor pressure the quarterback. Love the Chiefs here. Do you agree with me on this one, Teach?
Yeah, I think Chris Jones comes later half of the season to a standing ovation and really boost that defense. I got the Chiefs here as well.
Love his tweet yesterday. He said, "Love you, Kansas City. Love you, Chiefs." And so he'll be back. They'll work that out. Going on to the next game, we got the number 4 seeded Jaguars. Welcome back, Jacksonville. I love this team. They're young. They're fun. Love Todd Peterson. Versus the number 5 Jets. A-Rod. He's there. He's playing in New Jersey where they ski in their jeans, Teach. Where they ski in their jeans. I got the Jaguars winning this one and maybe a slight upset. 24-21. So Aaron Rodgers in New York, it was fun and all, right? But I think it's T-Law time in the NFL. Teach, tell me you agree with me.
You know it. Listen, anytime we talk about New York teams, there's only one team in New York, and that'd be the Buffalo Bills. The Jersey Jets, there's no way they win. I think it's going to be a bumpy road for A.A. Ron. I do think T-Law and his weapons in Travis Etienne, the French connection goes on in Duval.
Yeah. Not only that, but have you seen Calvin Ridley run routes in training camp yet?
Yeah, but everybody's running against air. I don't want to hear. We'll get. Listen, we'll talk. We're gonna have our special NFL training camp episode. Everybody's running against air. Everybody look. If you look terrible in training camp, you're not a professional.
I may draft him top 12 in fantasy football this year. I'm just saying. So moving on to round 2. So we've got round 1 out of the way. Round 2. You know what? Hey, those Bills advanced. So we're going to have the Bills facing off against, because they had a bye week. They didn't lose. They advanced, right? So we have the Bills facing off against the number 4 Jaguars. I like the Bills in this one. I think it's going to end up somewhere like 28-20. And I say it like this. T-Law time is up this year. Always next year, but it's up for this year. And I think Allen slides by without having to play the Chiefs or the Bengals in round 2. He hasn't gotten a chance to do that yet, right? And he gets into the AFC Championship game because of it. Go Bills. That's your team. Tell me you agree with me, Teach.
First of all, you buried the lead. This is the Josh Allen versus Josh Allen game. This is the Josh Allen game. Listen, a loser has to change his name or add an initial, right? Michael Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, Josh Allen, Josh C. Allen. I don't know. Who's the real T-Law in the playoffs? Is it the guy we saw in the first half that struggled against the Chargers last year, or the second half who dominated? I lean toward it's probably the guy in the second half, but I think home field advantage helps the Bills. Go Bills.
Yeah, I agree. So we're 2 for 3. You guys let us know if we're 3 for 3 on that one. Now, in the second game, we have the rematch, the one everybody's going to be waiting for. The late hit out of bounds, Mahomes on the ankle. We all remember what happened last year. I think it's going to be just as good this year. The number 2 Bengals face off against the number 3 Chiefs with a chance to go to the AFC Championship game. Here's what happened. Good run for Ohio Joe Burrow. That's right. I call him Ohio Joe. I can't call him Broadway Joe. He's not in Broadway. He's not in New York. He's in Ohio. I like the Chiefs in this one. I think it ends up somewhere like 38-27. A little bit more separation. The Chiefs are just a better team. Mahomes is just a better quarterback, and I don't think it's close. So Joe Burrow loses to probably the most talented NFL player we've ever seen in our lifetime, and the best coach-quarterback combo in NFL history. Tell me you agree, Teach.
Listen, I said that they beat the Broncos because of because Chris Jones comes back. He comes back. A lot of times when people are coming back from a long wait, though, they get injured. Chris Jones goes down, Bengals win.
Yeah,
Chris Jones goes down, that's it. Bengals win.
I'm glad that you set the Bills up like that for the AFC Championship, but I did not. We have to go off of what I think. And I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are just head and shoulders. Not that Patrick Mahomes does a head and shoulders commercial, but they are head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Okay. So what we have in the AFC Championship game is we have the number one Bills, your Bills, playing again in the AFC Championship game. It's got to feel good. Hey, Norwood's not out there this time. He's not kicking it. Okay. He's not. And they're going against the number 3 Chiefs. I think the Chiefs slide by on this one. I like it 34-28, something like that range. Allen falls short again. And I want to end my AFC Bills discussion with this. If the Bills fall short again, is it time for a coaching change in Buffalo? Teach.
If the Bills make it to the AFC Championship and lose again, no, I don't think so. I think anything short of the AFC Championship, you do need to look. We've talked about stability with coaches all the time. There was a time when Andy Reid, the great Andy Reid, was making it to NFC Championships, Super Bowls, and losing. I think you stay the course. But again, I don't have your crystal ball. I have the Bills going to the Super Bowl.
I don't think it's fair that we compare McDermott to Andy Reid, number one. I think McDermott's a great coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I think you guys are very lucky to have McDermott. But I think maybe fresh blood with that young quarterback before he's past his prime may be a good thing in Buffalo. I'm going to call it today. Buffalo makes the coaching change next year in offseason after losing the AFC Championship game. And Chiefs win the AFC. So that's going to set up the Chiefs versus whomever out of the NFC once we get there. So you got Buffalo winning the AFC. It's a fan thing, right?
Yes, it is. Fan things happen.
Fan things do happen, but I want to end the AFC discussion before we get into the Super Bowl talk with the AFC next. Patrick Mahomes is just that much better than everybody, right? Don't you agree?
He is right now. I don't know if he will be by the end of the season. I think anytime a guy's coming off a Super Bowl run, a playoff run like he had last year, there's always going to be that bump. It's going to be a sustained bump. If Coach were here, he'd be saying, listen, he's up there. He's chasing Tommy. He's chasing Ghost right now. He's just chasing Tommy. That's it. I don't know. I think he's going to come back down to earth.
I think if Mahomes retired tonight, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. I think it was that way before he won last year's Super Bowl.
You think so?
Yeah, first ballot, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, I said it after the Super Bowl. Let's get into the NFC. All right, so just to start off the NFC before you and I go on this tangent about quarterbacks, because we could do that all day long, right? Getting into the NFC, the 49ers did win the NFC, so they're going to start with the bye, okay? So they're going to advance to round 2. They're starting with the bye week.
Speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk NFC.
There's not much quarterback to talk about in the NFC, okay?
No.
The team with the worst quarterback in the NFC, the 49ers, because we don't know who he is, they're going to end up with the bye week in the NFC, okay? So we're going to start the NFC off with number 2, Philadelphia, playing number 7, New Jersey Giants. I like the Eagles in this matchup, 27-17. I think it's relatively close. A 10-point spread in the playoffs is a big thing in the NFL, right? And so
huge.
I like the Eagles 27-17. Danny Dimes, I think, has a good year under Coach Daboll again. But the Eagles fly high in Philly, right? And the Giants are just outmatched up and down the roster when you look at those two teams. Give me Philadelphia. Teach, do you agree?
Absolutely. Jalen Hurts might be the MVP of the league. We talked about it before. He only threw 60 passes in the fourth quarter all of last year. In all the fourth quarters, 60 total passes. Jersey doesn't have many pass catchers. They were relying on Isaiah Hodgins, a guy who the Bills had on the practice squad to be their lead receiver. Their best offensive weapon other than Saquon is probably Darren Waller, who's 31 years old. And listen, he might be the second best tight end in football. He also might be a DNF all year long. Just did not finish, did not play. So yeah, this is definitely Eagles. And I would risk all the money in your bank account, not mine. I'm a teacher, but all the money in your bank account all day, and it'd be a safe bet.
But congratulations, New Jersey. You made the playoffs. You made the show. That's what matters, right? New Jersey. So we'll go on. Next matchup's going to take the number 3 Lions. Number 3. Remember I say that. Number 3 Lions against the number 6 Seahawks. Upset alert. I like the Seahawks 31-21, beating Detroit. Bye-bye, Dan Campbell. You know, I think Dan Campbell's super fun to watch, and he's stern, and you see all of that kind of stuff. But I really think it's going to take someone else to take Detroit to the next level. I think Dan Campbell's a great coach. I just don't know that he's that guy. And guess what? I think Geno and Pete Carroll together right now, there's too much offense in Seattle. I know they're known for their defense, but that offense in Seattle, in Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, who are you guarding? What are you going to do? If Geno plays a third as well as he did last year, they're going to be a threat in the NFC. That's what I like in this game. Give me the Seahawks. Teach, do you agree?
Listen, Kenneth Walker, again, coming back. Zach Charbonnet, the second-round pick out of UCLA. So they're definitely going to have a balanced offense. This was a year of droughts that ended. I mean, you ended a lot of droughts. Detroit, Denver, and the New Jersey Jets all made it to the playoffs. They were the longest drought teams. But only one moves on, in my opinion. It's been 31 years since the Detroit Lions win a playoff game. That ends this year. Dan Campbell bites his ankles all the way to a victory. But again, that's only my pick. That's not the true prediction.
I do agree that 31 ends this year. That's because it's going to roll over to 32. Okay, so moving on, we have the Seahawks beating the Lions. The next matchup in the NFC is going to be the number 4 Saints versus the number 5 Cowboys. And this is going to round out the first round. Here's what I have. And I don't have it particularly close because I look at these rosters and the matchup just favors Dallas. So I have the Cowboys winning maybe something like 42-10, 42-17. I think the Saints are just outmatched. Now, Micah Parsons and that Cowboys defense, they're going to remind the world that Derek Carr is Derek Carr, right? Like, I don't know how else we're going to say it. Derek Carr is Derek Carr. Turnovers in a good game by Dak and company. I think Dallas wins in a blowout in this first round matchup. Teach, do you agree or not?
Let's see. Listen, this is a matchup where both quarterbacks can essentially get you to the playoffs. And then once you're in the playoffs, you go, I don't necessarily trust either one. But because Trayvon Diggs plays for Dallas and not against Dallas, and thus not intercepting Dak as much as he is in this training camp, we'll just say Cowboys win. Absolutely, yeah. I got the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I think Leighton Vander Esch got a pick. I think Moxie Smith got a pick. Mike McCarthy caught one on the sideline. It's been crazy for Dak the last couple
Kellen
days.
Moore came back and picked one and just kept on.
Yeah,
that doesn't concern you at all. I mean, that doesn't concern you not at all.
They're playing one-on-ones, man. I love to see the cornerbacks playing good against the receivers. You know what I mean? We have a talented group of linebackers and cornerbacks, and I'm happy to say that in Dallas. Okay, last time we won a Super Bowl, it was Ken Norton and Deion Sanders and Kevin Smith and Darren Woodson.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that type of backfield up front play again. You know, Charles Haley, Leon Lett. I need those guys back. So I'm excited for that. So that's going to end it. Dallas is going to win. They're going to move on to the next round. And the first game of the next round is going to be the 49ers coming off a bye week versus the number 6 Seahawks. This is tough. Here's why it's tough. This is why. Before I give you the score, I want to tell you why. Unless you remember what the 49ers looked like against the Eagles last year in the playoffs with no quarterback, you're not going to be surprised that I have the Seattle Seahawks beating the 49ers in round 2 directly off a bye because they have no quarterback. And it happens again as Pete Carroll and the Seahawks find themselves in another NFC Championship game. That excites me also. Welcome back, Pete.
Playoff Pete.
Playoff Pete. Now, tell me you agree or not, Teach. I saw you rolling your eyes, man.
Okay, the Niners are your 1 seed. So obviously, they've probably beaten the Seahawks twice. I don't know if you're doing that like, hey, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. Maybe that's the formula. I just don't see it. I think Pete Carroll's an overrated coach. I have the 49ers winning. I love everything I've heard about Brock Purdy. I hate everything I've heard about Trey Lance. Sam Darnold, it could be the best quarterback on the team. I don't know. They see ghosts. That's weird. I would go with Niners, but again, you're the man looking in the crystal ball.
So what I do know, looking back at history in NFL, is that oftentimes young quarterbacks find themselves winning in the regular season, but when the bright lights are on and you're in the playoffs,
Yeah,
it doesn't work out as well. Not for the
like
first couple of years.
like Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, uh, Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady. Yeah. These young quarterbacks just don't win. We all know you go to the crafty 38-year-old Geno Smith if you want to win.
Ben Roethlisberger. We've seen it over and over and over. Those are the outliers, mind you.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw Troy Aikman go 1-15. I know you remember it. I saw John Elway struggle. Dan Marino, of course, made a Super Bowl his second year. But anyways, we're not going to get lost in that. I like the Seahawks to upset the 49ers. That's where we're at.
I see what you're doing. Everybody sees what you're doing.
I don't think you do. So listen, going into the next matchup, the last matchup of round 2, you're going to pit the number 2 Eagles against the number 5 Cowboys. I have a shirt that I wore last year that says "Cry Eagles Cry." And I believe this is where it happens. I like the Cowboys 31-21 in this game. Now, I want to say Micah Parsons has already been on camera on the Pivot podcast, amazing podcast. Love that podcast. He was on the Pivot and he said this, and I quote loosely, give me all of that. MVP, DPOY, and a Super Bowl. And they were like, oh, isn't that too much? And he was like, okay, maybe not MVP. But give me DPOY and give me Super Bowl. So when it's your time, it's your time. That's what he said. I think Jalen Hurts struggles. I don't think we've seen consistency in him enough yet. And as we've talked about numerous times, when you only throw 60 passes in an entire season in the fourth quarter, there's still room for us to wonder, like, are you that guy? He's carried by a great team. But I love the way we match up with the Eagles this year. We're going to have Trayvon Diggs on Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. We're going to have Stephon Gilmore, ranked the number 6 cornerback in the league last year. That's true. It's just statistically where he was. If you want to start looking at metrics, he's having a great training camp. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. We have the best get after the quarterback defensive line in the NFL. I love the way we match up in Philadelphia. Dallas moves on to the NFC Championship. I love it. That's where I'm at. Do you agree or not agree?
Philly wins. Listen, I get what you're saying. I understand it. I get it. That offensive line is disgusting. Philly's offensive line is absolutely disgusting. And as good as they were offensively last year, I think they could be better this year.
What's the chances that Kelsey and Mailata and Johnson and they all stay healthy again this year?
I would say it's just as the chance is just as much as the Dallas's defense of Stephon Gilmore making it a healthy year all year.
I don't want to hear that. So anyways, we're going to move on. All right. So I love the Cowboys beating the Eagles. I know you guys may not agree, but with the Cowboys at number 5 beating the Eagles and the Seahawks at number 6 beating the Niners, what we have is the Dallas Cowboys hosting an NFC Championship game at Jerry's World. Unbelievable. This couldn't be scripted better if somebody was scripting it, and I don't think they did. But number 5, Dallas Cowboys, I love them 27-17 against Seattle. That's right, you're going to hear it here first. Dallas is going to the Super Bowl, beating the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship game 27-17. Dallas's defense, I think, is just too much. I think we get out the quarterback even better than we did last year. Here's the scary part. If Micah Parsons is 10% better than he was last year, how good is he? That's the question. If Brandon Cooks is that much better than who was our third wide receiver last year?
Gallup?
Nope.
I mean, still have Gallup, but I think Gallup was slotted in at the third position.
He was. And so Gallup, another year removed off of ACL, right? Now we have Brandon Cooks, who is a major upgrade. We haven't had a true number 3 receiver since we got rid of Cedric Wilson to Miami. You saw what he was in Dallas.
Since Cole Beasley days.
I think that's going to open up the field for Dak Prescott. Mind you, I like Jake Ferguson. I'm not sold on Jake Ferguson, but I like Jake Ferguson. I think this could be the Dallas' year. I expect Pollard to have a good year this year. How about them Cowboys? Welcome to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jerry Jones, the famous Jerry Jones story, right? Talking about a town in West Texas, out there where the oil fields are, right there on the border, El Paso. I'm gonna take your prediction, El Paso, on it. Okay, I would have had the Eagles going to the Super Bowl again, but that's just me. You go right ahead, man.
No, you're probably with the majority, but
Revel in your victory, man. Revel in your victory.
And that's what I want to do. I think, how do you get has there been a more interesting Super Bowl in the last 10 years than a Dallas Cowboy, Kansas City Chief Super Bowl this year? Mahomes is probably the most popular football player in the world. The Cowboys are the most popular sports team in the world. Like, this is like a marriage made in heaven. It's a match made in heaven. It would just explode football. Micah Parsons versus Patrick Mahomes. Defense versus offense. But you know what they say. What wins championships, Teach?
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Defense is the correct answer, Teach. You know that, man.
Yeah,
you do know that.
Like last year.
Now,
get out of it. Listen, I just got one question for you. If Dallas makes it to the Super Bowl, can you call Sean McVay and be like, hey man, one game, we're gonna pay you $15 million. We're firing Mike McCarthy. We want you to call the plays. Just would you bring Tomlin in? I don't know who you bring in.
I'm pretty sure there's been, I can't remember who it was. The football teams have brought in assistants during the Super Bowl, right? It'd be crazy, but I'm not against any of that. Here's what I'll say. Defense wins championships. That's always been the moniker. It's just not true anymore.
No.
Not in sports. So while I can celebrate Dallas being at the Super Bowl, I've got to say that Patrick Mahomes is hands down the best player in football. Now, and I don't think that Dallas can overcome that. I'm going to say congratulations, Chiefs. Repeat champions. You did it again. Patty Mahomes, you are the face of the NFL. You are the best player in the NFL. You and Andy Reid are the best quarterback coach duo to ever be in football. And so I like the Chiefs 27-24. That's what it is. The Chiefs are your NFL champions for 2024.
I like a Philly. Again, personally, I would love a Cowboys-Bills Super Bowl just for the content. I would love it. I would love the nostalgia of the 90s. Maybe, just by the odds, the Bills have got to come away with one, maybe. But if you're just looking at what would bring ratings and stuff, I think a rematch of Chiefs-Eagles would be a huge number, huge number. I mean, last year's Super Bowl was so fun to watch. It was absolutely fun to watch.
Great game.
And it came down to that last little bit. And if not for a pass interference, things could be very different. So I think that would be an interesting Super Bowl.
So tell me this. If the Cowboys and the Bills were to play in the Super Bowl, first of all, we would have a podcast 6 days a week leading up to it, right? And so there would just be so much material to get out to the world. Like, we'd have to. But if you had to pick if you had to pick 3 nostalgic snacks, Super Bowl snacks that you were going to eat relative to when the Bills went to their last Super Bowl in the 90s against the Cowboys, what would your 3 snacks be?
Oh, you got to go double crisp, bone-in chicken wings. Okay?
For sure.
You got to go. And they're chicken wings, okay? They're not buffalo wings. They're chicken wings.
Yeah.
The second one would have to be beer cheese dip.
Okay.
Right? You got to have your beer cheese dip.
Now, remember I said nostalgic. I want 90s snacks.
Yes. Well, beer cheese, forever and a day.
Yeah,
beer cheese
sure.
is always there. And you know what? The last one, we used to always have pretzel sticks in our house. And I think the last time the Bills lost the Super Bowl, 2 things happened. Okay. The pretzel sticks went to the wall, and my father threw the little Bills moniker rug into the basement. So that's what I got a new rug in the basement. That was fun. And the pretzel sticks went everywhere. So that's what I remember.
That's a good 3. So my number 1 would be true Pizza Hut pizza. The 90s Pizza Hut pizza was the best pizza you'll ever eat in your life.
Dripping with grease, grease everywhere.
Everywhere. So I would have just a table full of Pizza Hut pizza. I would then finish off after Pizza Hut pizza. I would eat Friendly's ice cream. I don't know if you ever had Friendly's ice cream, but
Yes.
you don't see Friendly's anymore. But I mean,
No.
as a kid, going to get a Friendly's ice cream was the most amazing thing you could ever have in your life. And then I would go back and do like 100-piece McDonald's chicken nuggets before they changed the recipe. So you know what I mean? Like that's what I
Yeah.
would want. That's
Yeah,
my
that's-
3-piece 90s nostalgia snacks.
We could drink Pepsi Crystal. It would be great. You know,
Jeez.
we could have the Orbeez or what the drink that had the little orbits in it. That'd be great.
Well, there's so many.
That's Bartles and James. We could rock some of those now. We're adults, baby.
I mean,
go ahead and rock those.
yeah, and they had like you remember like the Fruit by the Foot used to have like the tattoos on them.
Tattoos, yes,
yeah,
sir.
you know what I mean? Like I'd be tatted up everywhere.
All nostalgia all day. I got a question, okay? I got a couple questions since we're on the Super Bowl. Okay, let's take the Bills and Cowboys because we're not unbiased. We are very biased. Let's take the Bills and Cowboys out of it. What do you think would be the most intriguing Super Bowl winner? Do you think it's the Chiefs with, hey, this solidifies Andy probably retires. He's in the conversation for the GOAT coach. It solidifies that Pat is the GOAT ahead of Tom Brady, or at least equal to. What do you think is the most intriguing for content purposes? Is it a new team coming in?
A matchup or a winner?
Either one.
Okay, so a matchup for me would have to be like the Jets and Giants, right? Like I think that would just be an amazing Super Bowl matchup. Winner for content. Imagine Cincinnati winning their first Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Like that would be amazing. And I'm not a Cincinnati fan, but I think just his height at the game right now, his popularity, and then of course Mahomes winning another, like that would just throw him through the roof. I mean, we may start talking about Mahomes the way that people talk about Brady, and the kid's 27 years old, 28 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think an intriguing matchup would be Kyle Shanahan taking on Andy Reid. You know, you have Kyle Shanahan who just can't seem to win it, and Andy Reid who just now can't seem to lose it. And if Kyle Shanahan managed to coach his team up to winning the Super Bowl, I think that would be the ultimate content.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, that'd be a great matchup.
Just before we go, I just want to do a couple start one, bench one, cut one. Okay, so just a couple throw out there. Some of these names, they've been in the media for training camp. They've looked good. They've looked bad. So a little different. Okay, a little different. So we're going to go quarterbacks right now. Okay. Ooh. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. Yeah. And Jared Goff. Start one, bench one, cut one. Who you got?
All right, I'm starting Jared Goff. I'm benching Aaron Rodgers, and I'm cutting Deshaun Watson.
Wow. See, I think, listen, I get everything that's going on. I think I'm starting Deshaun Watson. I think I'm benching Jared Goff and cutting Aaron Rodgers.
And then you'd have R. Kelly singing the national anthem. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, man. I think there could be a huge redemption tour right now
for
Deshaun Watson. You know, it's. I think you're doing some crazy stuff. Let's go running backs. Let's go battle of the running backs. All right. So again, let's go Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry.
Ooh, gosh, man, all of them coming off an injury, having down years. I'm going to start Saquon Barkley. I'm going to bench Jonathan Taylor, and I'm going to cut Derrick Henry. That's crazy.
Yeah, see, I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to start Saquon. I think I'm going to bench Derrick Henry and cut Jonathan Taylor.
I was almost there. I was almost there on my start cut bench. I was almost there.
Last one, let's go wide receivers. Okay, you got some wide receivers coming off some funny stuff. Calvin Ridley, the guy you're super high on. DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. And the last one, let's go Amari Cooper for Cleveland.
Wow. Okay, this is good. I'm going to start Calvin Ridley. All he did was gamble a little bit. I'm going to bench Amari Cooper because that guy can route run just as good as Calvin Ridley, almost. And I'm going to cut DeAndre Hopkins.
See, I think I'm going to start Amari Cooper, especially if I have Deshaun Watson now throwing in passes and not Jacoby Brissett or somebody else. Listen, that works. I think I'm going to go ahead. and cut DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to sit Calvin Ridley. There's
Yeah.
just so many questions about Calvin Ridley. Like he wasn't exactly dominating in Atlanta.
And see, I was going to say, like, there's so many questions about Hopkins. How
Yeah,
long has it been
that's-
since we've seen him play like a full year, be fully healthy? Do I think he can be dominant again? I don't think we see him 3 years ago, but I think he can still be dominant in a fashion. The
Yep,
age,
maybe.
I don't know.
All right, truly last one. Let's go coaches.
Ooh.
And I'm going to stay out of this. This is just for you. Sean
Start,
McDermott.
start, bench, cut.
Yes. Start, bench, cut. Coaches edition. Sean McDermott, Dan Campbell, or Mike Vrabel.
I'm going to start Sean McDermott. I'm going to cut Dan Campbell, and I'm going to bench Mike Vrabel.
That's the right answer. That's absolutely the right answer.
I think it has to be, right?
That is absolutely. Listen, we are 3 for 3 there. Again, for Podfather Alex Gullett, I'm Teach Nelson, and we are not 3 for 3 without you.